Hi everyone, this is Ruby Brown and we're going to do a vibe for December. And I know it's been a little while since I've done one of these, but the time feels right and everything else with work has settled for a moment to allow me to be able to have the time and space to do this for you. I hope you'll forgive the traffic noises in the background. I'm actually taking a walk around the area where my office is, and it just gives me the freedom to think and to get some flow on so I can talk to you all clearly. So with all of that in mind, let's begin. Here's our vibe for December 2017. And here we go. So as we're heading into December, it's important to understand that our loops for repeat patterns and buying more time and not actually looking at the things we need to look at and postponing them, gaining more distractions, is all kind of just about wrapped up. Those loops have gotten shorter and shorter through September, October, and even through November, although November seemed to be a bit more of it's time to wake up. And through December that continues. And unfortunately, so does the overwhelming nature of the bombardment that we're seeing, across the planet. And what we're really looking at in December, as I wait for the motorbike to pass, is the grief that creates, and also the lost opportunity for the loops that we have that we haven't used. So as we head into, the holiday season and spending time with people that we both love and can be incredibly annoyed by, it's important to keep in mind that we've all got a story. We've all got a version of things that have gone on. We've all got a version of things we haven't looked at or are working on. But it's also relevant to keep in mind that if you haven't been looking at something and you know it's there, I urge you to start looking at it. Start being proactive and engage being gentle with yourself while you do so. Self-compassion is going to be of utmost importance in December because we want and kind of need to build up a reserve that we then can share with others. So what that means is, if you know you're tired, don't go out. Take the time to rest. Eat as well as you can. Now, these are all general things that I generally recommend whenever we do a vibe. But as we're heading into December, I think it's important to recognize the shift and what we're seeing in others and actually what it's creating for us, because it's going through everything. It's going through how we relate to each other. It's going through our business culture. It's going through even things like how we listen. Have you been listening? Did you actually receive what the other person was trying to get across to you? Or have you just interpreted it? Because those loops and those stories that we've been engaging that alter those things or that change our perception aren't there anymore. So being gentle and compassionate to yourself is a good place to start. In general, it allows you to build a reserve, but also because when you're hearing something with clarity, it may be a little disarming. And you still need to listen. You still need to engage. You still need to have the difficult conversations. If you're already working on things, you need to keep working through them. Now, if these are long-term things, fatigue can be coming in, and you need to address that. And if that means that, okay, then it's time to change your diet, it's time to exercise more, it's time to start doing that, start broaching it. It doesn't have to be all at once. It's not a get it perfect, get it right the first time scenario, but it is a what are you honouring scenario. So, what are you honouring in other people? What are you honouring in yourself? What are you honouring out of the things you're getting distracted by as well? Is it positive or negative? Now, for a lot of us, waking up, we tell ourselves, is determined by the ego. But that's not actually true. That's a story. Waking up is determined by your soul's recognition that you're not satisfied, that something feels amiss, that injustice can happen to anyone at any time for any reason. And if you're trying to make sense of that, if it's happened to you, or if you're watching it happen to someone else, or you're just generally fed up with the state of affairs, then try and tap into your willingness to wake up. Because the more you can do that, the easier it's going to be. And at some point, we'll create an semblance of things falling into place. You know, for the last 12, 18 months, it's very much been about, we're going to make plans. It's going to follow suit that those plans will play out as we've decided. We're going to hit all our goals, and it's going to be easy, because that's the way it's always been. That doesn't exist anymore in terms of energy and time and space. Doesn't align with us waking up and engaging with what we need to deal with to keep creating. And December is very much about that. You know, what are you wanting to create? What are you willing to engage in? What are you willing to commit to? And I don't mean commitment in the traditional sense. I mean, what are you willing to be engaged in? What speaks to you, and where are you honouring that? Where are you honouring yourself and your truth? Now, a few of you may be listening to this and going, well, I've got to do the job, I've got to make the money, I've got to pay the bills. And yeah, you do. That's so true. But it's not the entirety of what we're here for. It's not actually the purpose of what we're here for. That is a means to an end. And it doesn't have to be difficult. So for those of you who are caught in the trap of drudgery, who are burnt out because you've kept doing, rather than pausing and assessing and perhaps tweaking or making some new decisions, or flat out going, none of this is working, I've got to change everything. December's the month to take the time to do that. And I think it's actually the best present we can give ourselves and everybody else around us. Because if we're all even just starting to do that, how do we present to the others? And you know, if we just take the example of family at Christmas time, how less stressed would you be? How more willing to be patient with someone else? How easy would it be then to step around and look around their patterns that usually irritate us and actually just allow it to be, and understand that for wherever they are in their story, they're still either under the impression that it's helping them, or they're actually trying to change it but haven't fully got there yet. So if you get out of their way in terms of being argumentative or difficult, would that perhaps help create a space for them to step into something new? In turn, it actually allows you to step into something new as well. It's beautiful. I've done it many times. I've had clients who've done it many times. And the shift that it creates and the breathing space that it gives you is really wonderful and can open up potentialities exponentially. So it can give you multiple options ongoing. That's what that means. Multiple options ongoing. If you combine that with stepping into looking at your challenges, seeing where there are opportunities, and then being strategic or finding the right help to be strategic in approaching them to create better outcomes, more aligned outcomes, how would you feel? How would you be treating yourself and others? How would you be with your kids? You know, this is what December is about. How are you honouring yourself? How are you representing what you honour? And how do you engage? To close up on the vibe for this month, I also wanted to take a look at grief, because as the loops close and shorten, we also go through a grieving process. Now, for some people that can be, oh, that's not serving me anymore, I'm going to let it go, and I can see what actions or what choices I'm making that create that to continue, and I'm just going to stop doing them. For those of us that are a little bit more heavily entrenched and have had more difficulty letting go, it deepens the grieving process, and you have to remember to walk out of it sometimes as well. So you kind of have to walk into it knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable. So the first point is to actually accept not all of it's going to be pleasant, but that doesn't actually mean that it's bad. That actually means that it's something that hasn't been addressed for a while. Simplify what you're looking at. Give yourself half a chance to even enter into dealing with it. the other part of the grief is that it's getting compounded at the moment by what's happening globally, politically, economically, socially. And that's something we all need to address as well, because it's not going away. It's actually here for quite a few years, actually, because there's so many of us that need to wake up that in real time on this plane it's going to take a little bit of time. So my best advice is to grieve with respect. Try and understand and acknowledge what it is you're letting go of. Try not to look for comfort. Just keep working with the understanding that this is going to lead somewhere that is of benefit to you, that is of purpose to you, and that comfort can actually be a distraction. Especially when you're addicted to the loop or the story that you've been engaged in. So it can create physical symptoms on occasion as you let go of them. So hence, compassion and being gentle with yourself is worthwhile. And it also eases the stress then when you're dealing with others, because you don't want to bite somebody's head off when you're trying to remain composed as you release something that's not serving you anymore. It's also worthwhile, understanding that if it's happening for a reason and a purpose. If you can't see it yet, that it's okay. It's okay to walk ahead with trust and not faith if you've got that, but just even the understanding that you will be okay, and consoling yourself with that a little bit, but not to the point of comfort, because that can become a crutch, and I wouldn't want you to get stuck there. So when we're walking through December, people have felt everything tightening, people have felt the shift. It's been overwhelming, it's been depressing, it's been outrageous in elements. And understanding that it's not quite finished yet is actually a good thing. It's not great that it goes on exponentially, but it doesn't read like it's going to do that at the moment. It just feels like it's not quite finished. We're just entering the phase of the majority of us being engaged in waking up and doing that day to day. So rather than getting it right first time or being perfect and false bravado about how at ease you are with it, I would really encourage you to be as honest and composed as you can be while being gentle with yourself and others. And just allow it to wake you day by day. Allow things to be seen in the moment. Try and stay present in the moment. Of course, being grounded and looking after your physical body is going to help that. But mentally, some of these aspects and things that we're seeing are so large that it's almost, you're up against that I never thought I would see that, or I can't believe they did that, or in my lifetime kind of concept. So the more you can open your mind to the understanding that it's more than just the line of the story, it is an existence and a place where anything is possible, and that includes you being okay when you walk out the other side of grieving the loss of your story or your loop, or that I wanted it this way, or I imagined that it was this. I've been telling myself it's this, and now I'm looking at it and it's nothing like it. Also understand that it's happening to everybody right now, and I think really that's a blessing in disguise, although it doesn't feel like it every day. So again, make sure you're compassionate with yourself. Understand there's a process of grieving that, if you want it to, can allow closeness with others, especially going into December, and to take your time with it. I wouldn't rush it. The key thing that has been coming through probably for about 4 weeks predominantly for 4 weeks has been not to push. And that can be in the large actions as well as the small. There's always a micro and a macro. So where you can, don't push. Allow things to be. You know, it's productive over busy. It's efficient over erratic. It's calm over the storm. You know, so just try and bear that in mind. Be mindful, day to day. Do those actions that may seem small, but that offer great rewards. And trust yourself that we will all, collectively and individually, find our way. So this is Ruby for Ruby Brown 888.